And William Riccidello with the Washington Examiner joins us now with more. William, thank you. What is your, thanks for joining us. What is your reaction to the transcript of the call?
Well, my reaction to the transcript is there was no quid pro quo. There was no promise. So, these initial media reports about the whistleblower complaint, somebody really needs to go over this. I think the intelligence community, IG, has some questions to answer. What did he think, raised this to the level of urgent concern, which is a statute? This clearly wasn't an urgent concern. So why would he file with the Director of National Intelligence a whistleblower complaint to begin with? This seems more like a leak rather than a whistleblower complaint. It does seem partisan. There has been information that came out that the person who was the whistleblower is indeed partisan. But I mean, nothing came out here. Now you have Democrats in a frenzy. They're doubling down on the impeachment inquiry. They really have no choice. They can't come out now and say, hey, look, you know what, we were wrong about the transcript. This is all political. It looks like it was political from the beginning, and it seems it's going to continue that way.
Well, it's interesting because House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, of course, has resisted calls from her party for some time now over this impeachment issue. Why do you think she decided to pull the trigger now?
Well, Nancy Pelosi, what people aren't really talking about much is she really hedged yesterday. She succumbed to some pressure, probably from the far left of her party. They want an impeachment inquiry, but an impeachment inquiry is not a floor vote on impeachment. Of course, she doesn't want that. She has vulnerable House Democrats in purple districts, and they would lose if they had if they took it to a floor vote. So what she said basically is, we're going to open up. It's akin to opening up a grand jury. And don't forget, they already have an impeachment inquiry open in the House Judiciary Committee where they're subpoenaing people, and they'll probably do the same thing. They'll try to subpoena, or the head of the DNI is coming in on Thursday to talk about the whistleblower complaint. Perhaps they'll issue other subpoenas, try to get the whistleblower to come in. But I mean, they're going to make a spectacle of this. It's unclear whether they'll bring this to a floor vote, but I really do doubt it.
Well, it's so interesting, given the looming 2020 election with all of this. What is the risk for President Trump? How could he come out poorly in all this?
I don't think he does, to be completely honest. Look, I mean, the one time he asked for a favor in the transcript was to talk about election meddling in 2016. We just had a 2-year investigation in election meddling in 2016. I don't see there's much of a problem. There was no pressure other than friendly overtures about looking into what Joe Biden did. Initially, the Washington Post reported that they mentioned Joe Biden 8 times. It turned out to be only 3. One of the times was to talk about Joe Biden bragging about getting a foreign prosecutor who was looking into his son's company fired. I think, a guy who was elected, and most of Americans elected Donald Trump to root out corruption, I think a lot of Americans are going to see this and go, yeah, this is what we elected him for. I think he comes out quite well here. I think now, you'll have the American people look at the Democratic Party and say, look, this is largely partisan. Again, they're stymieing a president who's trying to engage in foreign policy for political purposes. And I don't think this looks well on the Democrats. So I think this indeed helps Trump to some degree.
They could look like they're overplaying their hand, indeed. Charlie Cook was talking about the malleable voters. How do you think this might play with them?
Look, a lot of people talk about voters in the United States of America. Most of the people between the coasts are not ideological voters. They're not ideologically conservative. They're not ideologically Democrat. You have to remember, a lot of these people who Trump won in the Rust Belt were former Obama voters. This is why he won the presidency. They're also fed up with this stuff. These are Americans. They're concerned about their country, and they don't like this partisanship in Washington, D.C. So I think there are voters who were maybe perhaps were on the line before that will go towards Trump's direction. Furthermore, this has really incensed a lot of people. And I think people who may not have turned out to vote before will turn out now. It's also about turnout.
Well, it's interesting. Of course, there's so much time between now and the election. But William Riccidello with the Washington Examiner, thanks for your insights.